Hey everyone, it's Kara here from Boho Berry, and I'm back with day 20 of 1 month in my digital planner. Now I know a lot of you noticed that I did not post a video yesterday, and that is because we were basically driving all day. We decided to head out pretty early in the morning so that we could have a little more time at home yesterday evening, so I just didn't have time to film, edit, and publish a video before we left. That being said, I still did my regular planning, so you'll see a few updates on here. I had my little bit of journaling here on Thursday and Friday, and then obviously I marked off my water intake as well, and I updated my workout 5 times per week progress bar down here because we went on several very long, like 2-3 mile walks on the beach, so I counted those as exercise. I also did a little more journaling on this extra page that I added in. So I journaled a little bit about our day on Friday, added in some cute stickers that I made in Procreate. And then last but not least, of course, I updated my monthly spreads. So my habit tracker, my gratitude log, which was enjoying the ocean for Friday, and my mood mandala as well. All right, so first things first, I'm just gonna go ahead, since I'm right here, and update my monthly spreads. And let's see, I want my light blue for my habit tracker. Let's see, today is the 20th. So yesterday, the 19th, did not wake by 6. I slept in a little bit before we hit the road. No Peloton, no strength training. Definitely took my prenatal. Did not eat clean. We ate kind of junky on the road. And then we were definitely in bed by 11. So I'm going to mark that off down here. All right, and then this morning, wake by 6, no, I slept in today. It was fabulous and amazing. I've not worked out yet, but I did take my prenatal, so I'm going to mark that off in here. All right, so that is filled in and ready to go. Gratitude log is up next, and for yesterday, it rained on us again, pretty much the whole drive, which was, again, very, very stressful for me. Again, I was very grateful for Mark driving in the rain, but I think my gratitude for yesterday is going to be sleeping in my own bed. As much as I love traveling, there's nothing quite like coming back home to your own bed. And I know a lot of you that travel out there will totally get me on that. So I'm going to put that in here. There we go, my own bed. And then last but not least is my mood mandala for yesterday. I think I'm going to go with tired. I was pretty exhausted all day yesterday. I took a tiny nap in the car, but I'm not very good at napping in the car. So I was pretty exhausted. By the time it came time to go to bed last night, I was so ready. All right, so let's get this ring in here. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna wait probably a couple more days before I keep drawing the mandala in there. And then I guess it's time to finish filling out my weekly spread, make sure that's all done. So for today, I wanna make sure I get that weather in there. Ooh, it's gonna be nice today too. Maybe not, it might be raining still. It's been raining all week. Thunderstorms, high of 82, low of 57. All right, so we've got weather in there, and while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and highlight my time bar for today, which since I just took a few days off, I am going to work a little bit, even though I normally don't work a whole lot on Sundays. So let's get this highlighted. We've got sleep. I slept until 8:30 this morning. That is like the latest I've slept in a really long time. Do a little bit of morning routine, and then the rest of this morning is going to be work. And maybe just a few hours in the afternoon. All right, let's see. On Saturday, I really don't have any journaling to do to speak of. It was just a day driving in the car. So I think I'm going to try to find a Bitmoji that I can put in there. Oops. Let's see what we got. I think I'm going to go with this one. It's, I'll zoom in so you can see it. It says, I did it. Just for driving in the car and surviving, really. So I'm just going to circle that and copy. All right, let's put that one on Saturday. I survived. That's what I did. And maybe I will journal a tiny bit about that down there. All right, there we go. I survived another 7-hour drive in the pouring rain. All right, so for today, Sunday, I should have left that zoomed in. I do have a few little tasks that I want to take care of. So first things first is I need to get into our Etsy conversations and answer some of those. I also need to get into my email since that was pretty much ignored for the last few days. And then I also want to do a little bit of work on my digital planners, the teacher and student versions that are coming out in June. All right, so we are set up for today, and now the fun part, I'm going to set up for a whole new week. So let's swipe over here. I think for this next week, I have a lot going on this next week, trying to get everything ready for the June launch of the teacher and student planners. And there's quite a few new other products that I want to get into the shop very, very soon. So I'm going to have a lot to kind of break down and track this week. So I think I'm going to use one of my old style weekly spreads that's just an overview, and then I'll have daily pages after that for the rest of the week. So to do that, I am going to use Procreate. All right, so here's this stack. These are planner layouts that I've been working on for my digital planner. So this is where we created my layout for last week, which was this one right here that I've been using all week. I imported the dot grid page with the rings as its own file here, so I can just duplicate this anytime I want to create a new layout. So I'm just going to swipe to the left there and hit duplicate, and then I'm going to bring this up to the very front because that's my newest layout. Okay, so the layout that I actually want to use is my old style weekly spread, and I feel like I made one. Yes, it's this one right here. All right, so I'm just going to recreate this again for this current week and show you how I did that. So the main brush that I'm going to be using is the monoline brush, and I actually created a copy of it and put it in a little set called favorites up here. But if you are on your iPad, it's one of the brushes that comes with it. It's in the calligraphy section and it says monoline right up here. All right, so I'm going to go to favorites, go to monoline, and just test my size and find the size that I want to write with. And that looks pretty good. All right, so I'm going to recreate that spread. I'm going to start on a brand new layer so that I can edit this later. And I'm actually going to lock my paper layer so that I can't accidentally write on that or mess that up. And I'm just going to get to drawing this layout. And when I'm done, I'll come back and show you what I did. All right, so I have the general bones of my layout now, and what I want to do is create a new layer so that I can always come back in and maybe reuse this part as a template for another week. So I'm going to grab my black pen. I'm still using this monoline brush. This is a brush that comes with Procreate. You will find it in your calligraphy section. It's the very top one. I've simply made a duplicate of that and put it in my favorites, and I've changed it so that I can size it a little bit larger and a little bit smaller than it's usually able to be sized. So if you'll notice, let's go back here. If I tap on the monoline brush and I go as small as I can go, that's as thin of a line as I can get on that monoline brush, and then this is as thick of a line as I can get on that monoline brush. However, I wanted to be able to write a little bit smaller. So I took that monoline brush and I swiped to the left to duplicate, and I moved that duplicate over to favorites. And now if I go into settings, you can see I changed right here under general, I changed the size limits. So I made it to where it was a minimum of 0 and max 130. So you'll see in the preview up here that changes the maximum width of the brush. So actually I can keep this a lot smaller because I really don't ever need it to go larger. I just wanted it to go smaller. So now if I go as small as I can with this new monoline brush, you'll see it's super, super thin. Okay, so I want to write in my titles here, and this is on a brand new layer so that I don't mess anything up. And that's even too thick. Let's see. All right, so I've got those main headers on there. Appointments are things that happen at a specific time on a specific day. Schedule is something that needs to happen that day, not necessarily at a specific time. And then projects, of course, are my current projects. I'll have a section for meals and a section for notes. All right, so up next, I want to add in my dates. So I'm going to stay on my black pen here. And I'll probably just do this on a new layer just because. And write in my dates. So Monday is going to be the 21st. And then I think I want to size my pen down a little bit more to put in the days of the week. All right, so we've got those in there. And then I want to add the headers for my projects. So I'm going to go back to my teal color and maybe a little bit larger on my pen. Maybe too large. All right, so we've got that section so that I can fill in my projects for the week. So I've decided this week I'm going to do 3 business projects, 3 home projects, and 3 personal projects. We're going to see how that goes. It might be a lot, but we're just going to experiment with it and see how it goes. All right, and now that I have this extra space down here, I think I'm going to create another section. So I'm going to go back to around the same size pen there. Create a new little section down here, and I'm going to call this one Waiting On. And actually, I want to change that. I want that to be on my layer with just my outline here. So I'm going to go back to that layer and add that in. Okay, and then I want to go to my layer where I titled all of my sections, which is this one right here. Go back to my black pen. And let's make this small again. All right, we'll call that Waiting On. All right, so that is my general spread, super simple. I do want to add a little bit of kind of decor to it, I guess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a layer right above my locked paper layer. So I'm going to tap on that and hit plus. So now I have a new layer. Now remember, this is behind everything that's written on the paper, but on top of the paper, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to grab my teal color, and I think I'm just going to lighten it up a little bit over here, maybe around there. And I want to fill in these titles and behind the dates and everything with that lighter teal color. So I'm going to go to my layers, and I'm going to select the layer that I want to fill these outlines here. So I'm going to tap on that and hit reference. And then on my layer that's underneath it, I'm going to fill in those spaces. Oops, and you got to make sure that all of your corners are completely closed off. Otherwise, you might accidentally fill the whole page. So I'm going to go back to that. And let me save that lighter teal right here just so I can go back to it. All right, and with that darker teal, I want to make sure that these corners are completely closed off on that layer. Okay, so back to here and back to my lighter color. Remember, we're still have this layer set to reference so that whatever we fill in here on this layer under it will only fill based on that layer. All right, and now I don't know how I feel about that color. It is super, super bright. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go to that layer and I'm gonna swipe with 2 fingers here. What that's gonna do is alpha lock. You'll see, and I don't know if you can see, that it has kind of a grid pattern behind it right there. And what I'm gonna do is select a darker kind of version of that, something that's not as bright. Maybe right there. And I'm going to tap and I'm going to hit fill layer. All right, and I like that much, much better. It's not quite as bright and obnoxious. Okay, and then the next thing I want to do is add some highlights. So I'm going to grab my white and I'm going to turn off referencing for that layer because I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to create a new layer above this color fill that we just added in. And I'm going to grab my soft airbrush, which I also have in my favorites, but you can find it under the airbrushing set in Procreate. All right, so back to favorites, soft airbrush. All right, so now I just want to add like just a little highlight here, and I actually want this to be a little bit bigger brush. And I'm not being like super careful with this or anything. I'm just kind of highlighting those a little larger for these center ones. And what I'm doing here is I'm kind of pressing harder when I'm in the center, and then I'm lightening the pressure as I do these little circles so that it's kind of a gradual like burst from white to kind of more transparent. And what's great is if you don't like it, you can always double finger tap to undo. Try again, try something different. I love that. All right, so we've got those there. Let's add some over here. All right, and I just like how that looks. I think it gives it a little more dimension. I don't know. I just like it. And I realized I never crossed my T on my Saturday. Do you see that? These things happen. All right, so let's do black. Go back to my monoline. And let's see, what size are we? That should be good. All right, that looks better. All right, and last but not least, I think I want to add my numbers here for my meals. So I think I'm going to do that in my teal again. All right, and then just like I did last week, I'm not actually going to fill in any information here in Procreate. I'm going to do that in GoodNotes so that I can edit it later if I need to. And I think, like I did on the example that I showed you at the beginning, I'm going to do a cute little washi tape decoration up top here. So I'm going to go to my very top layer, okay, and I'm going to hit the plus sign and start on a whole brand new layer. I'm going to start with black just so I can really see what I'm doing and what I'm drawing in. And I think I actually might write in my words first. Let me do that. That way I know how big I need to make this piece of washi tape that I'm going to draw. All right, I like that. And let's do a new layer, except I'm going to put this one under this week. And I'm going to go with black. And I'm going to draw my washi tape kind of around this. All right, and I just want to make sure that all of my my shape is closed, so there's no blank spots where when I fill this, anything is going to get through. So I'm just going to drag my black and just fill that shape. And now I'm going to change this to a different, like more pretty color. All right, so I'm going to do that same trick I did down here, and I'm just going to alpha lock right there. And I think I'm going to grab a super light gray, and I'm going to fill this layer. And let's see, that might even be too dark of a gray. I might go a little bit lighter. Let's go with a lighter gray and fill layer. Yes, I like that. All right, and to give it that kind of popping look, like it's actually sitting on the paper, I'm going to duplicate this layer, and the bottom layer I'm going to turn black. I could have just left it black, I guess, and duplicated it from there. And with that black layer of the washi tape selected, I'm going to zoom in so you can really see what I'm doing. I'm going to hit my magic wand up here and go to Gaussian blur. I'm going to blur it just a little bit, and you'll see it start to peek out around the edges when I blur. So I'm going to do that just a tad. It's about 9.4% if anyone's counting. And then I'm going to go to my arrow, and I'm just going to move this slightly down and to the right a couple of times. And then I feel like that's a little too drastic, so I'm going to go here to my magic wand again and go to opacity, and I'm going to turn that way down. So it just looks like a really light shadow there. All right, and then the last thing I want to do to this is add a little design to the washi tape. So I'm going to go on that gray layer, and I'm going to grab white and one of my patterns. And let's see, I think I'm going to go with my pretty floral foliage pattern. And since I have alpha lock on this layer, I can just paint right across, and that almost looks too big. So I'm going to shrink that down a little bit. That looks much better. All right, so now I have some cute washi tape up in the corner. I don't really like how this teal looks against that, so I'm going to come in, and I know this is like being a little excessive, but sometimes I like to spend time and just kind of play with things for a while. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to outline these letters. Let's see what size I want it to be, maybe a little bit smaller. And I just realized I'm doing this underneath the letters, which is why it's coming out a little funky. So I want to make sure that I'm on my letter layer. There we go. And you could even do this on a new layer if you want the ability to change these colors individually, like the teal of the letters and the black of the outline. But I know that I'm going to be happy with this, so I'm not going to bother. And this is a technique right here, outlining the letters like this, that I've used in my bullet journal before, and I really loved it. So this is definitely something that you could do on paper as well. Just use a thick marker to write your letters, and then come in with your black pen to outline them. I think it gives a really cool effect. All right, so that is done. And then I just want to add a little bit of decor, maybe to the bottom right here, just to kind of make it match. So I'm going to do that same washi tape down here, and I actually might make it, I was considering copying it over, but I think I just might draw it again so it looks like two separate pieces, not just a copy of each other. All right, so I'm going to turn up my brush size a little bit, and I'm going to go to a brand new layer. And I think in the one I did last week to practice this technique, yeah, I did that all the way across, and then I added in a little mandala in the corner there. So I think I'm going to do that again. And for the mandala, I will use one of my mandala stamps. And these mandala stamps are actually available in my shop if you're curious, but let's see the size here. Looks pretty good. I'm on a brand new layer, so I'm not worried about messing anything up. I just want to stamp it and kind of see the size. I'm going to double tap to undo. Do that one more time. And that looks pretty good. All right, so I'm going to use my arrow tool to just move that down to where I want it. And I'm going to go to freeform here so that it's easier to move around. I'm thinking right about there. All right, so now I have it where I want it, and now I can erase what I don't want. So I don't want it to overlap. I just want it to be inside this box. So I'm grabbing my eraser tool. And I'm not going to be super careful about erasing this part at the line because I'm actually going to move it behind that line so that you can't even tell. That way I don't have to be super precise trying to get up next to this line here. All right, so I've got that there, and I want to move it back, and I'll show you what happens. You'll see that part of this black is overlapping on top of that teal line. So what I want to do is I want to move this underneath those lines, which is right here. And you'll see now that it doesn't. And I can finish erasing if there's any tiny little bit that's trying to peek out around here. And I actually want to make this a little more transparent. So I'm going to go to the N here on that layer, and I'm just going to drag the opacity down. And let me move this over before I do that so you can see. Drag it down to where I want it. And I think that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to do my washi tape. All right, so back to the very top. I've got my black pen. I'm going to go to favorites and monoline. And I'm going to draw my washi down here. It's a little thick. Filling that in. And then I'm just going to duplicate this layer and alpha lock the top one so that I only draw on it. I'm going to grab that super light gray again, fill layer, and then I'm going to grab my pattern, same one I used before, my foliage pattern, and white. And now I'm just going to brush over the top of that. And switch that up a little bit. All right, and then finally this black layer that's hiding underneath there, we want to do the same thing we did before, the Gaussian blur. It's about 9%, I think, if I remember correctly. And then tap a few times to adjust its position. And then I'm going to bring the opacity down. All right, and there we go. That is going to be my weekly spread for this week. And one cool thing with Procreate is that you can actually copy a canvas. So for example, you might think that I need to merge all of this down in order to be able to copy and paste it over to another program. I could absolutely leave these layers as they are and save it as an image to my camera roll and then bring that over to GoodNotes, but I'm going to try to show you a quicker way. So if you copy and paste anything here, it's only going to copy that specific layer, whatever layer that you are on. However, if you go up to your settings up top here, you can hit copy canvas, and that's going to copy everything that's currently showing on the canvas. So I'm going to do that, and now I'm going to go back into GoodNotes. And while I'm here, I'm actually going to get rid of this. Or actually, I think I'll just move it. I'll move it right here because then I can kind of position it back where I want it. All right, so now in GoodNotes, I can just tap and hold with my finger and hit paste, and it brings in that page from Procreate. And now I can resize this, and resizing this and getting it correct can be a little finicky. My trick for you is this center line right here where you see this green dot. Try to get that as close to the center of that black space in the middle as you can, and then drag your corner out here And when you see this line meet up with your page over here, that's when you know that it's the right size. Now you can move it around and really get it kind of centered on here where you need it. All right, and I say that looks pretty good. All right, so I have my brand new layout in here for the week. All right, so I'm gonna relasso my little planner layouts down here, and I'm actually gonna cut and paste this because if I was to drag it up here, for example, and put it on top, you'll notice that it will disappear because it's going onto the layer under this picture. So I'm gonna undo that, and I'm gonna lasso, I'm gonna cut, and then I'm gonna tap and hold, and I'm gonna paste. And now it's on top of this new image that I put in here. All right, so I'm putting that in there. All right, so now we have this set up and I can go in and add my appointments and events for the week ahead. So I'm gonna check my monthly calendar, and I know this upcoming week, the Boho Berry Challenge is coming out for June on the 22nd, and then my new plan with me is going to be on Friday. So I wanna make sure that I get those in. As always, on Thursday, I have my weekly call with Create Joy, so I'm going to add that in here. All right, and then I think I'm going to finish setting up the rest of this tomorrow. I know today's video has been super, super long, but I'll add to my projects for the week and kind of do my meal planning in there tomorrow as well. And then again, I'm not going to be doing all of my planning on this weekly spread like I have been the last few weeks. I'm actually going to use this kind of as an overview of my week, and then I'm going to do some daily pages throughout the week to really plan out my days. All right, y'all, I hope you enjoyed this one. If you have any questions, comments, as always, let me know down below. I am going to get to my tasks for the rest of the day, and I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye.